Salvete discipuli. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the cases that are in Latin and their uses. This could be used as a review video. It may also be used in the future by a student if they're absent. So this video could serve several different uses. All right, now I want to start with some English sentences up on the top. The girl sees the sailor, and the sailor sees the girl. These sentences are two separate sentences. They have two separate meanings to them. The girl sees the sailor. The subject of the sentence is obviously girl, because the subject is just the person or the people doing the action. In the second sentence, though, the sailor sees the girl, the sailor is the subject of the sentence. Now, if you look, the girl is the same word in both sentences, and sailor is the same word in both sentences. It's spelt the same, it sounds the same, and that's kind of how English works. In English, the order of the words is what makes the sentence, is what makes different sentences have different meanings. Now, in Latin, it's a little bit different. In Latin, if I translated each of these two sentences into Latin, the word for girl would be different in each sentence because the word for girl is serving a different role in the sentence. Here, the role that the girl is playing is the subject. But down here, the role that the word girl is playing is the object. Of the sailor's the subject, and the sailor is doing the seeing. And what's the sailor seeing? The girl. So the girl is the object of the sentence. Okay. The cases in Latin are for different roles that a word could be playing in the sentence. Okay. The nominative case is the case that's used for subjects of the sentence. Okay, another use of the nominative, though, might be if there's a girl and the girl is a daughter. The girl is the daughter. Since girl and daughter are equal, they're the same thing, we might also use the nominative more than one time in a sentence. Even though a sentence typically only has one subject, sometimes we can use the nominative if the subject is something in a sentence. Okay, and we'll see some examples of that when we get to the sentences down here. Okay, now we're going to use the first declension endings that we learned. And what we're going to do is, instead of putting the endings themselves, we're going to actually take some actual words and write what the whole word out, what it is. So in pink, I'm going to write the word for girl. Puella is the nominative. Puellae, puellae, puellam, and then puella with a macron. Okay, the genitive is for showing ownership. It's also for when we translate sentences that have an apostrophe S, and it's what we use to translate of. And so the word puellae can mean the girl's something. It can mean of the girl, and it's for showing, basically it's for showing ownership when a girl owns something, or when something is the girl's. Right? The dative is, well, we're going to remember what the dative is for by the first three letters of dative, dot. So dot means gives, right? So If you give something, that's not what the dative is for. But if you give something to a person, that's what the dative is for. So the dative is for to a person. So puelai could also mean to the girl, or it can mean for the girl. Something is being done for the girl. The accusative is for the direct object. Now, the sentences up above, the sailor sees the girl. The girl is the direct object of the sentence. It's the direct object. So if we actually wrote this in Latin, we would use the word puellam for girl. Puellam. In blue, I'm going to use sailor. I'm going to nauta, nautai, nautai. Nautam would be for if we are using sailor as the direct object, and then nauta. So it's for whenever we verb the sailor, or verb a girl. So if we see a girl, we're going to use the word puellam. If we see a sailor, we're going to use the word nautam. If I have a sailor or have a girl, then I'm going to use puellam and nautam. Okay? And then the ablative is sort of a catch-all case. It's for with. It can be by means of. So if I dig a hole with a shovel, then I would write that, and then I would take the word shovel and I would put the ablative ending on it. And then the fact that the shovel has an ablative ending could mean by means of the sailor, or by means of the shovel. Okay? Then of course we have singulars and we have plurals. So let's take a look at if we have girls as the subject of the sentence. Puelai, puellarum, puellis, puellas, puellis. And the endings are I, arum, is, as, is. Just like the song goes, now you are a classicist. All right, let's do the plurals of sailor. Nautai, nautarum, nautis, nautas, nautis. Okay, and again, this is for of, showing ownership of the girl, but this would be of the girls or of the sailors. Dative, if I'm giving something to girls, then I would say puellis for the two girls, or if I'm giving something to sailors or doing something for sailors, then I would use nautis in my sentence. Okay, if I see a girl, I'm going to use puellam as the girl, but if I see the girls, I'm going to use puellas as the girls. Or if I see sailors or have sailors or punch sailors or anything, if I verb sailors in any way, then I would use nautas. And then finally the ablative, with girls or with sailors or by means of girls or by means of sailors. There's a lot of uses of the ablative, and we'll learn more, and we'll keep fine-tuning what the ablative is for going forward, okay? So let's take a look at these sentences up here. The sailor sees the girl. So because the girl is acting as the direct object, I have puellam. Now the sailor is acting as the subject. So I'm going to use nauta as my word for the sailor. So nauta, puellam, and then I need to say sees. So videt is sees. So here's my sentence. Nauta puellam videt. But if I am writing this sentence, the girl sees the sailor, now I'm going to use the nominative for girl. So I'm going to write puella. It still sees, so I'm going to still have videt at the end. And now sailor, I want to be in the accusative, so nautam. Puella nautam videt. Okay, let's do just a couple more words here. Let's use green for Mary. So Maria, because we're going to use some of these words in our sentences below. Genitive singular, Mariae. Maria, Mariae. Mariae. Mariam. So if I see Mary, or if I praise Mary, or if I verb Mary in any way, Mariam. Okay, Maria. Mariae, if there are multiple Marys. Mariarum, if we're talking about something that's of those multiple Marys. Mariarum. Maris. Marias. And Maris. And then one other word that I'll give you, I'll use pink again for this, is the word grace. Gratia. Now, usually grace is always going to be used in the plural. So really, we're not going to be using any of these words from this side, but we'll fill out the chart just for completeness' sake. So gratiae, that's of grace. Gratiae again. Gratium. Gratia. But again, we're not going to use these words because usually grace is only ever given in the plural. We kind of use grace in the plural, or sorry, in the singular in English, but in Latin, not so much. So these are the versions of this word that you're likely to see. I'll put a little line through them just to show that they're not really used, but they exist. Okay? Gratiae. Gratiarum, so of graces. Gratis. Gratias. Gratis. Okay, and that would be like with graces or by means of graces. Okay, so now using all of these different versions, okay, let's go and translate these sentences. So nautae provinciam vident. Okay, so first thing I'm looking at is my verb, and I'm seeing the nt ending on my verb, and that means they do it. And so whatever my subject is, whatever my subject doing that verb is, should probably be a plural subject. So that means I should probably be looking for a word that has I at the end. And so nautae means the sailors. Even though nautae could also mean of the sailor, or to or for the sailor, this is probably the subject of the sentence because it's plural and it matches our verb ending. Okay, so this means the sailors. So we have a plural subject, see the province. And of course, the province is in the accusative, just like we would expect. I'm just adding one more sentence that I'll need for later. All right, the second sentence, the sailor praises the glory of Mary. So we're starting with an English sentence, okay? So the subject of this sentence, the thing doing the praising, is the sailor. So I'm going to need the nominative singular of sailor. So I'm going to use nauta. Nauta praises. So remember, we have our derivative word laud, which means praise, and that's going to help us remember that the verb praise in Latin, not P-R-A-Y-S, but P-R-A-I-S-E, that praise starts with loud, so it's going to be loud, laudat. I'm going to write it way over here, just to leave room for the other parts of our sentence. So nauta laudat means the sailor praises. Now, what does the sailor praise? So we're looking for our direct object now. Praises the glory, right? He doesn't really praise Mary directly. He praises the glory. And then of Mary is something that we'll use another case for. So he praises the glory. So we need the accusative of glory. So, oh, we didn't put glory in, but if we did, it would be gloriam. It'd have an am ending. So nauta gloriam laudat. So now we have the sailor praises the glory. Now, now what we need is of Mary. And so the genitive case shows, or is how we translate of. So we're going to want Mariae. So nauta gloriam Mariae laudat. The sailor praises the glory of Mary. Okay, the next sentence, glorias puellae vidimus. So our verb is see, and the imus ending tells us that it's we see. Now, we don't have a word that looks like it's in the nominative. The as ending is an accusative, plural. And puellae, well, could mean girls, it could mean of the girl, or it could mean to the girl or for the girl. But we don't have well, I guess we do have this puellae could be the subject, right? So could it be the girls seeing? Well, no, it can't, because if this was the nominative plural puellae, if it was this kind of puellae, if we're talking about the girls, then our verb ending would be nt, just like when we were talking about nautai, see, when we were saying the sailors see, our verb would have an nt ending, but it has an imus ending. That means we do it. So we are the subject of the sentence. So this puellae is not the nominative puellae, it's one of these puellae. Okay, it's either of the girl or it's to or for the girl. Okay, so glorias puellae vidimus. So we see. Now, what is it that we see? If we see something, then that something is in the accusative case. So do we have an accusative ending? We do. We have glorias. So which means we see the glories. And then puellae. So do we see the glories of the girl, or do we see the glories to the girl? Well, this puellae makes more sense. So we see the glories of the girl. Or we could say we see the girl's glories. Is another way we could translate that. Okay, number 4. Maria gratias puellae dat. All right, so dat means he or she gives. It's one person gives. And so do we have a subject that's just singular? We do. We have Maria. So Mary gives. Now, in order to find out what she gives, is she giving a girl or is she giving graces? Well, if she was giving a girl, then it would have to be puellam, right? If the girl was the thing she was giving, but it's not. It says puellae. So do we have an accusative word? We do. We have gratias. So she's giving graces. So Maria dat gratias means Mary gives graces. And then what's this puellae doing? Is she giving the graces of the girl? Is she giving the girl's graces to somebody? That could be, but it makes more sense because puellae also is down here. She's giving the graces to the girl. So this is the dative puellae. She gives graces to the girl. Puellae also can mean of the girl, but we're trying to write what makes the most sense here, okay? And then the last sentence is an English one. The girl is Mary. And so is our verb. Who's doing the ising? Who's doing the being? The girl is. So we're going to need puella for our nominative. So puella. And then est is our verb for is. Now, since the girl is Mary, you would think that Mariam would be, because usually the girl verbs marry, right? So usually if you verb marry, but this is different. If is like an equal sign. Oh, Monica, stop, please. the girl is equal to Mary here, and so we're actually going to put Mary in the nominative just like Puella is in the nominative. So we're actually just going to have Maria. So Puella Maria est. That means the girl Mary is, or the girl is Mary. Okay? So that's another use of the nominative. If the word is the subject, we put it in the nominative. But if the word is equal to the subject, is the same thing as the subject, like Mary is the same thing as the girl, then we're going to put that word in the nominative as well. So we have a couple different uses of the nominative. So again, this was just a video to review the cases and their uses.